I'm joined now by balloon artist Aaron Messer. Aaron, thank you for being here. We've been doing this show for a long time and I have never talked to a balloon artist. So I'm very excited. When did you get excited about balloon art?
So I was 13 years old and I went to clown school.
I didn't even know that was a real thing.
Most people don't. I was going to a church and a person there was a clown and she was like, oh, you'd be so good. And you know, like every other 13-year-old, I was like, of course I'll go to clown school. So,
and you're right, I will be a great clown.
Exactly. So I went to clown school and I learned like how to do my makeup, and there was like a bit of ventriloquism and skits and all kinds of things, and the balloons were the only thing I was good at. I couldn't juggle, I had no sleight of hand, my makeup was terrible, so the balloons kind of were my thing then. I was relatively good relatively quickly at it. I was also kind of forced to be pretty good at it because all the other people in clown school were like elderly women. So they were like, your hands are good, you get up there and
Not
you do it.
Not quite as dexterous, okay.
Yeah, but after clown school, I started to go to like balloon conventions, which are a thing. Balloon and magic conventions.
This is a brave new world. I had no idea.
It all exists. So there I met some other people who mentored me, and it's a place to share designs and kind of do some professional development in that area. So, and then I went to college and I was working in the Kroger deli, and that was taking up an enormous amount of time while I was in college. And I thought, man, I've got to be able to make money in a different way. Like I'm a creative guy, like what can I do? So I started like offering my services as a balloon artist. Up until this point, it was really a labor of love. Like it was all volunteerism when I was in clown school and a part of the clown group. And then in college, I was like, okay, how can I monetize it? How can I make money from my art? So I started doing balloons, offering it as a service in college, and within a couple of months, I was able to quit at the deli, and it really kind of took off from there. So.
And does that explain why I've seen some of your art in Kroger's?
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's where it began.
I'm looking at all these photos, I'm like, that's a Kroger.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Okay,
Yeah.
You mentioned that once you learn the techniques, you sort of put your own stamp on it and find your own style.
Yeah.
How in the world, I would imagine, when I'm watching somebody make a balloon dog, that all balloon dogs are created equal. That's not the case?
Oh yeah, so there are always the classic balloons, like the single balloon dog, like that's the classic, right? Or like a single balloon sword, like everybody knows those designs, right? So when it comes to style, my style is more like tiny and cute, but like I know other balloon artists who are like go big or go home, like that they like the big and bulky like type balloons, but I've always been more quaint and everything's in its place. And so I have several balloon designs that I've kind of brought all of these different things together, and this is how I make it. I find myself in doing line work often, where people are in line and they're like, I want this one, and then I make it, or I want this one and I make it. So I make the same thing a lot, actually, and sometimes I'll make a mistake that I'm like, oh, that was cute, so I'll adapt and I'll make it that way over and over again. So I'll make the same style balloon for a long time until I think it looks better in a different way.
Yeah.
So
you mentioned that you like to keep your designs small. But some of the stuff that I have seen that is really cool is huge. But is it just a series of small designs?
It's a small design on a larger scale, really. What I've found in my art is that I sometimes become a machine, like it's more of a service than an art a lot of times, which is unfortunate. So what I find the most joy in and where I get the most expression is when I'm able to do larger scale things and when I'm given the creative freedom to do whatever. Like I've done like a skeleton playing a cello in a graveyard, all made out of balloons, right? So
yeah, the cab of a semi.
Oh yeah,
But you also do people, or you do the Grinch, for example, Bernie Sanders. I'm looking at all of your photos. I'm like, how in the world? Okay, so truly, how in the world do you look at a picture of the Grinch and break down all the components you're going to need? Walk me through that process. Do you sketch it first? How does that work?
Yeah, so I'll talk about Bernie Sanders. So I looked at Bernie Sanders and I thought, okay, he's got this style of cheek, like he's got this shape of cheek, and he's got this type of chin, and he's got these types of eyebrows and this type of hair. How am I going to use the balloons to exacerbate those features, because those are the identifying features that he's got.
So like a caricature.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, right. So you're never going to get like spot on with balloons. There are artists out there who are very good at like imitating reality with balloons. It's very difficult. And so that's what I would do. I would identify features that are caricaturable and then figure out what I would do with the balloons to kind of imitate that. So
that also leads me to wonder, how much pressure do you feel when there's a line of people, all of whom want a design from you? Maybe you've never even done that type of request. Does it feel like a lot of pressure?
Pressure's on, for sure. And you know, oftentimes I'll have a line of an hour or an hour and a half, and I feel like I wouldn't be waiting that long for it. People do anything for their kids. But yeah, the pressure's definitely on when there's a line, and that's the not so enjoyable part about the art, is that it does become a service really quickly, and people are just kind of expecting a balloon. The challenge that I find often is that people are expecting like a sword or a dog or whatever,
right.
And so they're just like, what are we waiting for here? But then once they get up there, they're like, oh, that's what we've waited for. So I do get a lot of appreciation once they get to the front of the line. But while they're waiting in line, it can be stressful. But the pressure is real, and I've had to become really quick in my art because of that. But that's where a lot of my learning comes from, is trying things that people request that I've never done before. And you know, you can only do so much sitting in your living room or with other balloon artists. Something that we do is called a balloon jam, where we'll all get together and we're like, this is something I've been doing, or well, this is something I've tried, and then you learn from each other. And so there really is a lot of value in the balloon community.
Things you never thought you'd say, right? So is there a sort of muscle memory that develops, that you sort of, without really thinking, know how to do certain things, and then you can apply those to other designs?
Yeah, so there are, I would say, techniques. So like there's a 1-inch bubble, 2-inch bubble, 3-inch bubble, pinch twist, loop twist, like all these things. That's kind of what's going through my mind when I'm doing something new. It's like, okay, I need to achieve this, and I could do that with a pinch twist and a loop twist, and I can so that's kind of where my brain is going when I'm creating something new. So a lot of it is, though, muscle memory, especially when I'm doing line work. Is like I've made 100,000 penguins, so I just am like, hey, how you doing? What's going on? Like my brain is with the child at that point, because my hands are just doing what they've done, you know, a million times. So
that's incredible. Okay, I can imagine there are countless challenges, but it seems to me that one of the challenges would probably be the logistics of making your big pieces stand up even. I'm thinking you did a goalpost for Kroger, or when you make the Bernie Sanders, for example. That's got to be more than just balloons, yes? How do you make it stand up?
So there is a lot that goes on behind the scenes. Like, again, the balloon art is very visual, and so if you look at something the wrong angle even, it doesn't even look like what you're trying to achieve. So taking pictures at the right angle is very important. But like, so if you're looking at like a giant balloon piece, you're seeing the balloon piece. I'm seeing the frame, like the metal conduit framework underneath it, or the heavy base that's keeping it from going one side or the other, or the monofilament that's tying it here and here so that it stays where you want it to stay.
And are you creating all of that as well? The base and
Yeah. There's a lot more to it than you think.
Yes, Aaron, that's a lot.
Yeah, so especially when it comes to balloon decor, which is something that, so the small intimate balloons are one aspect, but like the arches and columns and donuts and like things that you use larger balloons for. That all takes framework and rigging and styling outside of actually doing the design. You also have to mount it and hang it and put it on a frame or all of those things. So,
what is your favorite part of creating your art?
Obviously, it's a really temporary art.
Yeah.
It's not something that stays around for a long time. So the best part of my artistry is the reaction that I get out of it. And because it is such a child-focused art, it's really the reaction of the children. Like what I was saying when you were talking about muscle memory is like, once I'm making whatever they want me to make, I'm there with them.
Yeah.
And it's the funny little oop and these little things, the reactions that I can get out of them. It really is an entertainment art.
Yeah.
So the most joy I get is with the interactions of the children that I'm making the balloons for. So.
Aaron, your work is so cool. I loved every picture I saw. I was like, first of all, I was like, how does he do it? But also just the creativity and the work that must go into every piece you make. And like you mentioned, the fact that it is so temporary makes it even more special. So thank you for adding a little beauty to the world, and thanks for sitting down with me.
Thanks for having me.
For more information, visit balloonsbyaaron.com.
Arts in Focus on PBS Fort Wayne is funded in part by the Community Foundation of Greater Fort Wayne,